All right. Welcome back, everyone. As you can see by the title of the episode, this is Overreactions to week one, though I will say some of the reactions that I have are not overreactions. I feel like they're completely justified. We're also going to be picking our games for week number two. And something that we're going to be adding this year is we're going to be doing our top 3 plays of the previous week. We are very excited about that. There are some fantastic plays that happen every single week that we think deserve some mention. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to be doing one of our special segments this week is the Hail Mary. I will be covering a Hail Mary, and we're going to be having a special guest on to do a Hail Mary for us as well. If you guys want to make a special appearance on the podcast, DM us on Instagram at KA_football. While you're at it, you can go ahead and follow us on all sorts of other platforms, YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you get podcasts, the whole thing. So this is KNA Football. All right, I'm not going to lie. That was probably one of my worst segues from intro to welcoming everyone to KNA Football in KNA Football history. That was absolutely abysmal, so I apologize to every one of you who just had to watch that, and I apologize to myself who's going to have to watch that later. So, moving on from that, Kadin, tell me a little bit about your life. I know people seem to like to hear that.
About my life?
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy, a little happy that the NFL has started, a little not happy after watching week one. I mean, let's see what's going on in my life. I applied to a new job today.
Look at you.
That is kind of, I guess, a bigger deal.
That is a big deal. You'll have to keep us updated on that.
Yeah,
see if they assign you to a 4-year, $160 million deal, something like that.
Maybe a $230 million fully guaranteed contract.
Oh my! Don't even with me. Don't even. All right, so let's jump into this thing. First off, we're going to be kicking things off with our top 3 plays of the week. First up, we have Anthony Richardson with his 60-yard touchdown pass. Debbie, you want to go ahead and roll that for us?
On 1st and 10, pressure's coming. Richardson slips. Now he's airing it out deep down the field for Pierce. Touchdown!
Yeah. So I mean, you see there at the beginning of the play,
what a throw by Richardson.
Anthony Richardson slips under massive pressure, absolutely launches one, and go ahead touchdown, 60 yards, absolutely electric play.
This is what a lot of people were talking. Debbie, you can end the clip if you'd like to. This is a lot of what people were excited about when Richardson came out of college. Yes, his rushing ability is through the roof. Yes, he's not very accurate at times, but his arm strength is like some that we have never seen before. If he can learn to hit that accuracy, like if he can consistently hit good throws, like we'll talk about later when we get to that game, he only completed 9 passes in this whole game, but if he can consistently hit passes, especially deep ones like he did on that play, like you said, while he's slipping, while there's pressure in his face, absolute dot. That was an incredible play from Richardson, and that's why the Colts drafted him in the top 5.
Exactly. And like you said, we'll talk more about that play. Like I have opinions on that. Like fantastic electric play, but I have opinions that I think run a little bit deeper than just an absolutely electric play from him. So then next up here for our second play of the week, we have Tyreek Stevenson with his go-ahead pick 6. Debbie, if you want to roll that for us.
Pass with the kickoff.
This is actually not the pick 6. I lied. This is DJ Dallas kick return touchdown.
DJ Dallas with a burst across the 40. Bass can't take him down. Dallas may go on the outside. One man to beat. Dives to the goal line. Touchdown, Arizona. No flags. 96 yards.
So this is obviously the first weekend of the dynamic kickoff.
Here's DJ Dallas. Now, all the kicks going that way have been returned. You had
Debbie,
Matt
if you'd
Prater
like
hitting
to
him on
end the clip
ground.
there. Thank you. Yeah, this is obviously the first weekend of the dynamic kickoff, and people were wondering, would there be more kickoff returns? Would there be touchdowns? Would it be all touchbacks? Well, there was a lot of returns. There was a lot of long returns, and then obviously this was a big touchdown. It came in a big spot in the game when they were down by 11 with not too much time left, so this really put them closer, and that was a really back-and-forth game. So that was a big play there by DJ Dallas.
Yeah, like you said, I think that in the first game that we had this week, the Thursday night game, there weren't any returns. There wasn't anything that even looked like a return. It was touchback after touchback after touchback, and everyone was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what happened to the kickoffs?" And everyone was kind of upset about it. At least that's the general vibes I was getting. But then, this weekend we had some really good kickoff returns as well as this one for a touchdown. And it's like, okay, I see a little bit more what they're talking about, why it's a dynamic kickoff, a little bit more space for holes to open up when you're having everyone hit 5 yards apart from each other instead of running 25, 30 yards. So I think if this is any indication of how the rest of the year is going to go, I'm excited. I hope that this is like a record-breaking year for kickoff returns for touchdowns. We're already got one in the first week. We'll see what happens. And then our last play, like I accidentally spoiled for you guys, we have Tyreek Stevenson with his go-ahead pick six. If you
On
want to
third down and 6. Here they come. Gordon's coming. Levis gets wrapped up. Flings it ahead. It's picked off. Tyreek Stevenson will give the Bears the lead on another defensive play.
Yeah. All right, Debbie,
I'd
you
like
can
to
probably
give-
cut it there.
I'd like to give the announcer major props there. I mean, he made that play so much more electric with his yelling and his excitement and his call. But as we'll get to that game, the Bears did not score an offensive touchdown. They had a blocked punt for a touchdown, and then they had that go-ahead pick six right there. So Bears defense really doing solid, and the Titans had played very well up until that point. Will Levis had played respectable up until that point, and then he made a really boneheaded kind of pitching it as he goes to the ground, and it was obviously taken to the house by Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure like a highlight for Tyreek Stevenson and for that Bears defense, and that's all well and good. But if we're being completely honest here, that's more of a low light for Will Levis than it is a highlight. Like, if he wouldn't have just been idiotic and pitched the ball into his arms, that never would have happened. That guy never would have touched it. It's, stupid decision by Levis, but ultimately ends up as a highlight. So don't do that, or you'll end up on KNA Football as a highlight video. Okay. So now let's go ahead and we can start recapping week one. We're going to give you guys our extremely expert analysis on all of the games. So starting off here with the Thursday night game, we have the Ravens and the Chiefs. Highly, highly anticipated. Obviously, this kicks off week one. We got to have fireworks. We got to have a lot going on. And in my opinion, it delivered early, and then it delivered late. The middle was somewhat forgettable. Kadin, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. So a lot of people were excited to see what it would look like with Derrick Henry on the Ravens and Xavier Worthy on the Chiefs on their two respective sides. Opening drive, Derrick Henry and the Ravens go down. An incredible drive, overcoming a lot of illegal formation penalties, which was ridiculous to start the game. And everyone's thinking, wow, is this really going to be all season? It didn't end up being the highlight of the weekend, fortunately. So that was not too big of an issue for the week. But they go down. Derrick Henry scores a touchdown. Everyone's like, wow, the Ravens are going to be good this year. Like, this was a dominant first drive. This was a tone setter. Chiefs go down with ease, and then ends up with a rushing touchdown by their new man, Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy ran it in for a 21-yard rushing touchdown on an end around. And I know he has the quickest 40-time NFL history, but Austin, he looked fast on that kickoff. And then right then, I think everybody was like, first of all, this is going to be an incredible game. And second of all, the Chiefs are about a three-peat, and it's not even going to be close. And why are they even having the season?
I mean, it was at that exact moment on that end around where I went to every single league that I didn't have Xavier Worthy in for fantasy, and if someone didn't already have him, I immediately placed a waiver order for Xavier Worthy in every single league. It was that exact moment I was like, this guy's going to be special. And I was fortunate enough to accidentally have trusted my gut and picked him up in our Dynasty league. So pumped about that. But you're absolutely right. Like, he is so fast. Like, I'm not going to say that he's faster than Tyreek Hill, but the fact that he has that same skill set as Tyreek Hill is like, and the fact that I have him for so much cheaper, like, you're right. 3-peat, up and coming.
Yeah. But then, like you said, the middle of the game kind of lulled. It was a lot of just the Chiefs were kind of taking control of this game towards the middle. It looked a little bleak for the Ravens towards the end. Ravens make a late push, not with the help of Derrick Henry, not with the help of Zay Flowers, definitely not with the help of Mark Andrews. It was with the help of Isaiah Likely, who had a career game with 9 receptions for 111 yards and a touchdown. He had an incredible game. Likely is the backup tight end for the Ravens, while Mark Andrews on the other side only had 2 receptions for 14 yards. A lot of people are saying Isaiah Likely is taking that spot as tight end 1. I'm not ready to say that. It's only 1 week. Again, This is week 1. It is overreaction week. However, he played incredible, and it comes down to the final drive, comes down to the final play, and by a couple mere inches on Isaiah Likely's big toe. Oh, do we have a picture of it? Oh, yeah. Shout out Debbie for that. Couple mere inches on the cleat, on the toe.
Not even that. Like, it's probably like half an inch. It was extremely close.
Yeah, Ravens were down by 7. This was the final play in regulation, couple centimeters away. And if that was in, the Ravens were going for 2 points. They'd already made the decision. They were going for 2. So incredible way to end the first game of the season. I mean, you couldn't have helped it any better. But another massive part of this game was Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson passing the ball, missed a couple of passes, which that's happened with Lamar. He's done that before. I mean, a lot of people made a massive deal of it. But what I think is the big part is his rushing. Lamar Jackson had 16 carries for 122 yards. Austin, what do you make of that?
I mean, obviously we know that Lamar Jackson is a running quarterback. People made jokes about it out of college. He's a running back. Just put him at that position, whatever. But I think that, like we were saying over the offseason, like the absolute, I don't even know the dominance that you're going to see from the Ravens offense, with Lamar Jackson being able to run the ball like he does and Derrick Henry being an absolute punisher. I think that that's something that, Derrick Henry, he had an impact on this game for sure. He had a touchdown. He had some good runs. He had some bad runs. But the fact that Lamar Jackson can then take that, like, okay, my grounds game's not working. I'm going to be the ground game now, and I'm going to be whatever it is, 5th, 6th in the league in rushing yards after week 1 as a quarterback is ridiculous. So, I think that Lamar Jackson, obviously, very big asset running. He just needs to be careful that he doesn't take any hits. That's really what it comes down to. You don't want your quarterback, the big money man, to be taking hits like you are when you're running. So that kind of wraps it up for us for this game. We have a lot of games to get to, so we need to make sure we're moving here, especially because there's no bye weeks. All right, then flash forward. We have the Packers and Eagles. This was an international game. This was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So some people traveled for this game. It seemed like it was a lot of fun. The turf apparently wasn't that great. There were some pictures of the field afterwards, and the grass was completely torn up. It was just like concrete underneath, and the players were complaining about it the whole time. And we'll get to like the key points to this game. Obviously, the Eagles ended up winning this one 34-29, but the biggest implication for this game is Jordan Love. Late in the game, he pops his knee. I'm not exactly sure what he did. The Packers don't seem to be indicated that it's I
think they
season
recorded
ending
it as an MCL sprain, I believe. So they've listed him his projected 3 to 4 or 3 to 6 weeks out, but they officially, suffered an MCL sprain. So they haven't officially ruled him out. Like they said that he could still try to play on Sunday. I think that there's just zero chance that happens. I mean, it looked like his season was over. I think it's a miracle that he has a chance to come back in 3 to 6 weeks. But until then, yeah, Packers might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. And Jordan Love played really good in this game. I'm not going to say he proved that he was worth the money that he was given, because he was given a lot of money, but he played really, really well. If I'm the Packers, I'm very pleased with the signing of Jordan Love for sure. Josh Jacobs, the newly acquired running back for the Packers, didn't do too much. He rushed for 84 yards, so that wasn't going so well for them. And then the Eagles, I got to check here. Jalen Hurts played well, had almost 300 yards in the air. And for me, we can go into depth on this one a little bit. Saquon Barkley, Kadin. Go ahead and talk about Saquon Barkley here.
Yeah, I wasn't going to toot my own horn, but I was so pleased watching Saquon Barkley in this game. If you've been following the podcast since this summer, I've been extremely high on Saquon going to the Eagles. I think that what we saw in New York was great out of Saquon. We saw an elite running back, but we saw that in New York with a struggling offensive line where the defense knew it had to go to Saquon. Now he goes with a very improved offensive line, with a very improved offense, with a very improved scheme. And I was high on the Eagles. I have them winning the Super Bowl this season, and I was high on Saquon. I think he was one of the main reasons I have them being as well as they do. Saquon comes out in this game. Saquon has 24 carries for 109 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. And he also had an incredible receiving touchdown from about 20 yards out. Saquon had 3 touchdowns in his game. I was very impressed with Saquon. He played phenomenal. And the Giants, on the other hand, did not score an offensive touchdown. So Saquon, 3 touchdowns on the year. Giants, 0 touchdowns on the year. So, yeah.
Yep. Let it be known, 2 things real quick before we move on from this game. Saquon Barkley in one game has more touchdowns than Daniel Jones has had in his last 2 years with the Giants. And also, let it be known that our very own Kadin went ahead and predicted that without Jason Kelce, that means no tush push. And you know what didn't work? You know what didn't work on Friday night, Kadin? The tush push did not work.
They tried the tush push 2 times, and they were 0 for 2 in success. So the K&A football podcast looked amazing.
We did great on the predictions. We are fantastic on Friday nights. We need more Friday night games. All right. Next game, we have the Steelers and Falcons. Look, this game was crazy. Kadin, you can talk about this one because I have strong opinions here.
Yeah. So we both were not very high on the Steelers going into this season. I was kind of high on Atlanta. I know it's week 1. It's impossible to not overreact, so that's what we're going to do. Atlanta looks really bad. Kirk Cousins looks really bad. And a lot of things that I've heard is people are already saying, why aren't you putting in Penix? I think that's absolutely ridiculous. You've given Kirk Cousins $180 million. You're going to play Kirk Cousins. They're going to be much better. What I am overreacting about is Pittsburgh has one of the best defenses in the NFL. And by one of the best, I mean potentially top 3, top 4. TJ Watt played out of his mind this game. He had so many pressures, many sacks. He had 2 strip sacks. Both of them were called back by penalties. One of them he was offside, so that makes sense why he had the strip sack. But another one was a holding downfield. I mean, the Steelers did not score an offensive touchdown in this game. They had 6 field goals, and they won the game off of just dominant defense. It was phenomenal. I mean, Justin Fields didn't do anything to wow you in this game. He just made the plays that he had to win. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't make stupid plays that he was making in Chicago. And I was very impressed with the Steelers' defense and displeased with the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons were for sure disappointing, lackluster, whatever word you want to use. But again, it's week 1. Things like this are going to happen. You don't have guys play in the preseason because you don't get them hurt. You don't put them all the way in on tackling drill. It's just little things like that. It doesn't get you quite up to game speed, and you end up doing this. But I think like I was not high on the Steelers at all. Like going into this game, I'm like, yeah, the Falcons are going to win by however much they want to win by, regardless of the Steelers defense, because you can only play defense for so long. I was wrong. Apparently, the Steelers can play defense all game long because that's all they did. And I think legitimately, this is going to be their entire strategy for the whole year is we are going to ride completely on TJ Watt. He is going to carry this team. The defense is going to carry this team. And then all the offense needs to do is not turn the ball over. And that's it. Get into field goal range.
Yeah.
Get into field goal range. Let Chris Boswell kick as many field goals as he wants. So, hey, for anyone who wants some fantasy advice out there, go pick up Chris Boswell as your kicker if someone doesn't already have him. Make a trade for him. I don't care. I legitimately believe he's going to put up over 20 points every single week because I don't think the Steelers are scoring a touchdown. It's going to be field goal after field goal after field goal. It's going to be it's going to be ridiculous how many field goals this man scores. Go pick him up. All right, that's enough about this game. It's not worthy enough of too much time. Okay.
Let me ask you this real quick before we get to the next game. Before the season, you projected the Steelers at 4-13. I know it's only been 1 week, but are you projecting a little more than that after watching this?
No, I'll still stick with. Did I account for them winning this game? Absolutely not. But I think that if you're only going to put up field goals, you need to put up 3 field goals for someone's 1 touchdown in order to kind of keep pace with them, So I think that it's unrealistic to say that this is a sustainable win method, obviously, and I don't see them scoring that much. I mean, Russell Wilson isn't going to play in this upcoming game. That's what it's reported to be, is that he's still suffering with his calf or whatever it is, and so Justin Fields is still going to play. Don't get me wrong, I like Justin Fields, but I don't think he's all that. So I'm still comfortable saying they're going to win 4 games. Sorry, not sorry to every Pittsburgh fan out there. All right. Next up, we have the Cardinals and Bills. And this one surprised me a lot. The Bills ended up winning this one 34-28. Now, let it be known, Kadin and I are probably the highest on the Cardinals that anyone is, other than the 4 Cardinals fans that exist out there.
You got that right.
We think the Cardinals are going to be good this year. Not necessarily good, but they're going to be a lot better than people are saying. And the fact that the Cardinals were able to keep pace with the Bills, they were able to put up a really good showing, is a really positive sign for them, because it's if you can keep pace with the Bills, you can keep pace with anyone. Unless, of course, the Bills have fallen off, which would be not great. But I think one of the bigger storylines of this game is the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr., generational wide receiver, we think, didn't really get that much action in this game.
No.
Kadin, what do you make of that? And then what do you make of the game in general?
Yeah, Marvin Harrison had 1 reception for 4 yards. Yes, he had a drop. I mean, you're going to get that out of rookies. Jamar Chase had many drops the preseason of his rookie year. Marvin Harrison didn't play in the preseason. So you got those little, like you said, you haven't played since last then. Marvin Harrison hasn't played preseason. You got to build off the rust. You got to take that leap. Jumping from college to NFL is a jump. He's not going to do that in 1 week, but especially with no preseason. But I think Marvin Harrison will be fine. Late in the game, I believe it was a 6-point game. Marvin Harrison wide open down the field. It would have been about a 50-yard touchdown. Kyler Murray just didn't look at him. Kyler Murray ended up, I think, running it or running to the side and throwing a sideline pass. He didn't look at Marvin Harrison. If he looks up, that's the go-ahead touchdown right there. And then instead of talking about how horrible of a game he had, we're saying how Marvin Harrison just had the game-winning touchdown. So I'm not worried about Marvin Harrison. I'm not worried about the Cardinals. Like you said, I think it's great that they were in this game. We were worried about their defense, and they really did pretty solid for what we were expecting. But yeah, the Cardinals offense is so fun to watch. James Conner looks just like he has the last couple seasons. I was expecting him to take a little bit of a setback, but he looked phenomenal. I mean, both of these 2 teams are going to be very fun to watch this year. Josh Allen looking like how we talked about. He's going to do everything he can to carry his team. He was diving over guys into the end zone. He was trying to hurdle dudes. He was doing. He got to the point where he hurt his hand. His status for Thursday night was in doubt on Sunday night because people were saying, is Josh Allen's hand okay? He's going to be fine. He's going to play. But that's how much he's just putting his team on his back and willing his team to win.
Yeah, and if you're willing to do that in week 1, what do you think he's going to do in week 16 and 17 and 18 when a playoff spot is on the line?
Mhm.
All right, next game we have here is the Panthers and Saints. Yeah, if you're only listening and you're not watching, I'll tell you what the score was. The Saints won 47-10. So that happened. Kadin, I'm gonna let you talk about this, and then we can get right away from it because,
Yeah, it was. I'm not going to honestly say this. I haven't been a football fan my whole 18 years of life. I'll say in like my 12, 13 years of being a football fan, maybe a little bit less. I don't think I've ever seen definitely my team play a game like that. But I was going to say a NFL team play a game like that and lose that bad. Yes, I've seen teams give up 70 points like last year, but that team still put up 20, 25 points in that game. 5th play of the game, 59, like 69, maybe a 59 or 69 yard touchdown by Rashid Shaheed. Okay. You know, it happens. It was a broken play. It's first game nerves. We'll be fine. Our first play, Bryce Young, terrible throw, interception. They go, kick a field goal because they're right there. Then what do? 3 and out. They go down, field goal, touchdown, interception, fumble. It just, like, I kept thinking to myself, wow, okay, it can't get any worse than that. Like, it's 17-0, 4 minutes into this game. Oh, wait, no, it can get worse. Oh, no, it can get worse. I didn't think it could get any better than last season. Austin, I may have been so wrong. We might see the first 0-17 team. Like I can't express to you how. I'm sure you didn't put as much investment into watching this game as I did because you're not a Panthers fan, obviously. And once it got to about 10-0, you're like, okay, this game's over. But holy smokes, Bryce Young. I had so much. I was standing on the Bryce Young hill, and I was backing him up. I was not listening to anything the haters said. I still am not ready to just be like, nope, Bryce Young's done. He's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But, man, Sunday really, really got me nervous. The offensive line didn't play great. The receivers didn't have the option to play great because Bryce Young was missing his receivers everywhere. I was so... My hopes for the season have been so dwindled. Like, I can't express to you how bad watching that game was. And to make everything so much worse, the Panthers' best player, Derek Brown, the run stuffer, the run stuffer on the Saints, who just ran all up and down the field on us. They didn't take many deep shots because they didn't have to. They just had to run. The best, one of the top run stuffers in the NFL, just got hurt towards the end of the game, apparently. Don't know when he got out. No, he didn't miss any plays. He did something to his meniscus, and he is out for the season. So now you go from this defense that played terrible. Now you're losing your best defensive player, maybe your best player on your team. You just lost 47-10 to the New Orleans Saints. Austin, we are both very low on the New Orleans Saints. What is going to happen when this team plays Kansas City? What is going to happen when this team plays Philadelphia? What is going to happen when this team plays Dallas? We might see 80 points put up on the board. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched. The defense played terrible. You're not playing a good team. You're playing the Saints with Derek Carr. Chris Olave did nothing. Taysom Hill did not do much. It was just... I don't have words.
Yeah.
And to make everything worse, we are playing the Chargers on Sunday, who, what's their philosophy? Philosophy, run. I truly believe the Chargers will run for 600 yards on Sunday.
This is a very, very possible thing to happen. Like you said, Saints offense is not something that we're high on. I'm definitely higher on the Saints defense than I am their offense.
Oh
And
yeah,
the fact that
absolutely.
they can put up 47 points on you is, like you said, like when you guys have to play a team that has a high powered offense, you're absolutely cooked. All right, moving on. This game does not deserve this much attention. We've somehow given this game more time than it had points in the game, so I don't know how that happened. Next game we have is the Titans and Bears. This is obviously a massive game. This is Caleb Williams' first NFL game. Can he do it? Can he be one of the very few rookie quarterbacks to win their NFL debut? The answer is yes. He can. He can win 24-17. Unfortunately, what he cannot do is score touchdowns or do anything impressive whatsoever. In fact, he had a couple of plays there where I was like, whoa there, Caleb, you are not in the Pac-12 anymore. You need to please play like you're in the NFL and stop pretending like teams don't play defense. It was bad. He didn't play very well. But lucky for him, the Titans played worse. So the Bears improved to 1-0. And like we saw, Will Levis had that absolutely stupid play to solidify their loss. Kadin, what do you got?
Yeah, like you're talking about for Caleb Williams, as bad as Bryce Young played, Caleb Williams might have played a little worse. Yes, he didn't have the interceptions, but he went 14 for 29 for 93 yards. This man didn't even get 100 passing yards, which is incredibly bad. And the the Bears still put up 24 points. Their special teams with a blocked punt, their defense with a pick six. The Bears defense might be very, very, very good this year. If Caleb Williams can figure it out, which I know it's week one, it's a rookie QB, that's what you would expect. I'm not hating on Caleb Williams saying he's going to be terrible. He's going to be great. But if he can figure that out, the Bears might be a very, very good team. DJ Moore, I mean, none of these receivers here listed had good games. I mean, DJ Moore led the receiving with 36 yards. And I mean, that's
that happens when your quarterback throws for less than 100.
Right. That's a third of the yards. So the Bears, I'm not too worried about. I was expecting a little more out of Caleb. I mean, 93 passing yards is atrocious. So, but all of the media and all the everything after the game is like, Caleb Williams is the first quarterback pick number 1 to win his first NFL start since 2002. Oh my goodness. Caleb Williams did not win this game. Like, he did absolutely nothing to win this game,
Yeah.
But
he was the quarterback who started the game, but he did not win it.
Right.
Yeah. So congratulations, Caleb Williams. You get your win. You get to go down in the history books. But if anyone watches this game or looks at the stats, you're absolutely cooked. But I'm sure he'll figure it out. He's got a lot of time left, and it was literally the first game. This is Overreactions, everyone. All right. Next game up, we have the Patriots and Bengals. Now, this is another one where Kadin and I not high on a team, similar to the Steelers situation, where we're like, yep, this team gonna be trash. They're not gonna do anything. Man, are they the worst or what? And then they go and beat a team that we're actually pretty high on. To be fair, Patriots won this game 16-10. To be fair to the Bengals on a couple of fronts. One, they did not have T. Higgins in this game. Jamar Chase, for some reason or another, decided he was going to play, even though he really didn't do anything, and he probably shouldn't have played because, if anything, might have hurt the money he's going to get. It won't, but it might. And I would like to remind everyone, in case somehow you have forgotten over the last 3 years, the Bengals do not play good in the first 6 weeks. They crawl their way. In the last 2-3 years, they have crawled their way to a 500 record at the bye week. Granted, their bye week was on week 6 and 8 in those last couple of years. But they crawled their way to a 500 record, and you're like, man, have the Bengals fallen off? What happened? And then they go ahead and cook your favorite team. And that's just how it is. Okay? They don't play their players in the preseason. They don't do it. They come out, they have rust they need to get off. They haven't played since February. Okay? Then they're going to cook your favorite team in 6 weeks. So this is not something that's worthy of an overreaction. But I was thoroughly impressed with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Patriots offensive line held up. That was one of the biggest concerns about the Patriots going into this year is how's their offensive line going to do protecting, because they look terrible in the preseason. They're not supposed to be very good on paper, and they did very good. Obviously, defensively, holding Joe Burrow to 10 points, very good. It looked like Joe Burrow might have a little bit of re-aggravated his wrist injury. He says nothing is wrong with it. I mean, nobody's really going to know except for Joe Burrow. But like you said, it is incredible how many people have just forgotten how the Bengals start every single year. Do you know off of the top of your head, like try to guess, I have the number, what Joe Burrow's record is in weeks 1 and 2 in his NFL career? He's played 9 games in week 1 and 2.
Because you're asking, I'm going to go ahead and go. He is 2-7.
He's 1-8.
Wow.
And Joe Burrow and the Bengals, every year minus his rookie season when he got injured, and last season when he was injured, they have been in the playoff consideration. They have been in AFC Championship games. They have been in divisional games. They've always made the playoffs. They've always been phenomenal, and he's 1-8 in those games. And people just forget every single year. So,
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. T. Higgins isn't playing again this week. He is officially ruled out for this upcoming week. Jamar Chase is still up in the air. He still doesn't have a contract, so it's up in the air whether he'll play or not, and that's going to be really big on whether or not the Bengals are able to pull this next one out. All right, next game that we have here is the Texans and Colts. Obviously, we showed you a clip earlier of Anthony Richardson putting an absolute bomb, 60 yards. The Texans ended up winning this game 29-27. It was a fantastic divisional game. I love divisional games. I don't know if we should really put them in week 1, but it was a great divisional game nonetheless. Kadin, what are your thoughts here? I have some strong opinions about Richardson.
mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I mean, C.J. Stroud and the Texans look like just like we thought they would. I mean, he was connecting with Stephon Diggs, who had 2 touchdowns in this game. Nico Collins had a big game. Tank Dell didn't do as much, but it's going to be really hard to support 3 receivers in one game. But like you said, Joe Mixon, the new acquisition, first of all, he played phenomenal. He won AFC Player of the Week this week. He had 30 carries, which is his career high in carries. So, hey, people think you were getting old. No, you just carried the ball 30 times in a game. 30 carries, 159 yards, and a touchdown. And he was picking up key blocks for C.J. Stroud. Anthony Richardson, like you said, like we were going to get to, 9 passes. He missed Adonai Mitchell. Now, if you don't know who Adonai Mitchell is, if you go back to one of the first weeks of KNA Football Season 3, my Hail Mary was the rookie wide receiver taking in the 3rd round, Adonai Mitchell. Not too many people know about him. Not too many people are high on him. I said Adonai Mitchell is going to very much surprise, could potentially be one of the top rookie receivers. He had Adonai Mitchell for 2 touchdowns, and he missed them both. Colts will win this game with ease if he connects. If he gets those 2, that's what? 34%, 41-29. Now, I'm sure the Texans would have done a little different things schematic-wise on offense, so they could have been different. But that's 2 huge touchdowns that you missed a wide-open Adonai Mitchell. So, I mean, if you have Anthony Richardson for fantasy, he's going to score you all the points in the world because he can run and he can connect on deep bombs like the one to Alec Pierce. But the reason that he might not win too many games is because, yes, he can have the highlight plays, he can have the runs, he can have those. But just on your intermediate throws and on your throws that matter, he can't hit them. 2 touchdowns Adonai Mitchell missed. 9 passes completed. I don't think I can express that enough. That's not what you want to see out of a number 4 overall pick.
Yep, I completely agree with you, obviously. And the last thing that I'll say about this game is, while, yes, he can connect on those deep balls, I think that it's a little concerning for me just after hearing what came out of those joint practices like we talked about, where he was just lofting it out there. He was throwing deep balls and just hoping his receivers got there. And that's a little bit what I'm concerned about, is that if a defense can kind of see that and can just place a safety over the top and not get the receivers behind them, I think that's what you're going to end up seeing, is he's just going to end up lofting them and maybe get some Josh Allen type interceptions. But for the time being, he puts up some great points.
Yep.
All right. Now we have the Jaguars and Dolphins. I'm going to be honest, I didn't see too much of this game. So, okay, and you can talk about this one, and then we'll move on real quick.
Yeah. Obviously, the Battle of Miami, the Battle of Florida. I'm sorry. Jacksonville really jumped out to a game here, and it looked like they were about to put away, to go up by multiple possessions in this game. Travis Etienne fumbled at the 1 yard line, like he broke away. He was almost reaching for the end zone, and then they popped the ball out. Ends up being a touchback. And on the first play after that, Tyreek Hill had an 80-yard touchdown to tie the game. Dolphins get the ball back, go down. Jason Sanders makes a 52-yard field goal as time expires. Now, there wasn't too much action involved with this game other than some fumble and an 80-yard touchdown. One of the storylines of this game was Tyreek Hill before the game. He almost didn't make it to the game as Tyreek Hill was detained by police. Calais Campbell came to help the situation out. He was detained by police. It was kind of a crazy situation. I know I didn't hear any of this until like I was in church and church ended and my brother runs up to me and he goes, "Dude, did Tyreek Hill just get arrested?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm not on my phone." And he's like, "Look." And I look at my phone and it's like Tyreek Hill detained by police. And I was like, "What?" And so I started reading and
everywhere.
I was like, right. But I was
Heart
like,
attack at that moment.
Debbie's pulling something up for us. Here we go. They put him on the ground. I've seen the video. I have my own opinions on it. I'm not going to share them on the podcast, but I was very worried that he wasn't going to play in this game. I don't have him for fantasy, but just as an NFL fan, you want to see a player like Tyreek Hill play. Fortunately, he was able to play on his 80-yard touchdown. He had an incredible celebration. I don't know if you saw it. He put his hands behind his back and had Jalen Waddle, walking him around. So, but yeah, that's really all out of this game. I don't know if you have any opinions.
Yeah, there's the celebration there. Yeah, I don't have too many opinions on this game. Like I said, I didn't see too much of it. Obviously, Dolphins, I feel like they should have played a little bit better. But they ended up getting the win, and that's what really matters at the end. Jaguars probably going to be fine. Overall, solid game from both teams. All right. Now, speaking of solid games, here's one that was not solid. The Vikings and Giants. Vikings went ahead and soundly won this one 28-6. That's just what happens when you play the Giants. Let's be so for real. The Giants are such a garbage team. How do you put up 6 points? I don't know. Daniel Jones, probably second biggest bank robber in the NFL. Yeah, that pick six was something. Honestly, we should have put that one.
I hand selected the clips, and I struggled so hard to pick only 3. I wanted to pick this one. I wanted to pick the Turpin punt return touchdown. I wanted to pick the Tyreek Hill 80-yard touchdown. It was hard to find 3 clips, and this one, pick 6 on Daniel Jones, definitely deserving. But you got to take a little bit off of it because it's kind of easy when you're playing Daniel Jones.
Handed to him. Yeah. Not too much to talk about in this game. Again, you can overreact all you want for the Vikings. Be like, oh, are they legit? No, probably not. It was the Giants. Honestly, they probably should have scored 47 on them. Not said about this game. All right. Raiders, Chargers.
Daniel the Camel with the comment. What did Tyreek Hill get arrested for? He didn't end up getting arrested. He just got detained. He was speeding, and he didn't have a seatbelt on, and the police were trying to talk to him. He wasn't really talking to them back too much, and then the police just kind of got a little angry and went in his car, grabbed him, threw him on the ground. So there's a lot of videos out. There's a lot of things out, but he didn't end up getting arrested. He only got detained, and he's okay now. However, him and his agent are calling for those officers to be fired. So there's a lot of controversy involving that.
We'll see what happens. It's how it goes. This is how these things always go. We'll see what happens. Obviously, everyone will do their own investigation.
Happened with Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler, best golfer in the world, got this happened to him right before a big tournament as well. So maybe just one of the best players in every sport is going to get detained before a big match. So LeBron James, pay attention, before you're going to your first game next season, be on the lookout. Shohei Ohtani. Well. Yeah. Who else? Jeremiah Smith. Make sure you're being careful on the way to Buckeyes games.
Yeah. All right, so moving on here, we have the Chargers and Raiders. The Chargers ended up winning this one 22-10. J.K. Dobbins, running back for the Chargers, had an absolute career game. I have not seen him play as well as he did since he was an Ohio State Buckeye. I'm going to be so for real.
Yeah.
That being said, he is trending upward in like all fantasy apps because of how well he played, and by proxy, that means that I don't know. The Chargers get a little bit more hype to him, I guess, because they can run the ball. Yay, Harbaugh! Like I don't know. Like Herbert still doesn't have anyone to throw to.
This was a very hardball game, right? Like they just
It was.
ran, and when they had to, they threw. They played good defense, held the Raiders to 10 points. It's exactly what I expected out of a Jim Harbaugh led team. And like you were talking about J.K. Dobbins, he just had a career game. I'm expecting him to have an even more career game on Sunday as they go up against the 47 points allowed Panthers defense. So it's going to be great. But Lad McConkey, the rookie receiver, had a touchdown in this game. Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end for the Raiders, had an okay, solid game. But the real storyline in this game, like you said, was J.K. Dobbins kind of just exploding like nobody really expected him to.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next game we got here is the Broncos and Seahawks. In my professional opinion, obviously the Seahawks ended up winning this one 26-20. But I think that the Broncos actually slightly overperformed in this game. I did not expect them to play as well as they did, or maybe I didn't expect the Seahawks to play as bad as they did. Caden, what are your takes?
Yeah, the Broncos defense looked really good in this game. They had two safeties, which that's kind of unheard of, I believe. Two safeties in one game, but their offense, on the other hand, was not very good. Bo Nix was kind of just like Bo Picks. He had 138 yards. He threw 42 passes, and he had 138 yards to show for it. He had 2 interceptions in this game, 0 touchdowns. He had a quarterback rating of 31, which is terrible. Again, he was a rookie QB. He kind of was surprised by a decent amount of people when he was selected in the first round. But a lot of people were thinking, oh, Sean Payton, he got his guy now. He got his next Drew Brees. They're going to be so good. Again, it was his first start. It was week 1. Me and you are not very high on Denver, and Bo Nix did not look good in this game. Their running game didn't look good. It was really just their defense setting them up right there. Geno Smith, he didn't have a great game. It was not, it was honestly a very bad week for just quarterbacks in general. Like a couple of seasons ago, there was 61 touchdown passes in week 1 by quarterbacks. In this week, there was, I believe, 33 or 35. Like that number was almost cut completely in half. It was insane. Like the quarterbacks really struggled, and we didn't see much good quarterback play throughout the league. And I have the Seahawks struggling this year. I had them beating Denver in this game, but I wasn't impressed by either side at all.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Like we said, this is time for overreaction. I don't think this is sustainable for them. I don't think that they're going to be that good. They obviously play the Steelers this week, so maybe they stand a little bit more of a chance.
The Steelers could totally go 2-0 without scoring a touchdown. Denver's defense is good, and Denver's offense is not good. They could only kick field goals, and they could try to go 2-0 with only field goals. I would be all here for it. I would love that.
We could end up with another, let's see, what was it? Broncos Colts 2 years ago, Thursday night, where we went to overtime, and there were only field goals scored in the entire game. That was awful. We could end up with another one of those. You never know. All right. Speaking of awful quarterback play, we have the Cowboys and Browns. Cowboys ended up beating the Browns 33-17. As you can see behind me, I am a very big Browns fan, and so this was awful. We played very bad, honestly. The first half was a struggle, to say the least. Our defense looked like they forgot how to play football, which was definitely extraordinarily concerning because that is our entire identity outside of running the football. Deshaun Watson played awful. There's no other way to say it. He did not play good football this week, or any week. And for some reason, we can't seem to get it through our heads that we are really, really good at running the football. And so why don't we run more? Like, I'm not even joking, Caden. I don't think there was a rush where we didn't gain up to 5 yards. Why are we not running the ball every single time? I really don't understand. And everyone knows that when Deshaun Watson has the ball in his hands, it's going to be not a great player. Why are we going empty sets? Why are we not going play action if we're planning on throwing the ball? I don't understand it. I really don't. Fortunately, we figured it out a little bit in the second half. We held the Cowboys. They didn't score too much in the second half. We ended up scoring a lot more, but it was awful. I'll have more to say about this later, if that gives you any indication on my Hail Mary. But moving on.
Yeah, I'm not going to have anything.
Yeah, there's nothing to say about this. I don't want to talk about it anymore until I do. The Commanders and Buccaneers. I didn't watch too much of this game. Commanders ended up losing to the Buccaneers 20-37. All I know is that Baker Mayfield had a great game.
Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield threw for 289 yards and 4 touchdown passes. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this week. Now, Washington's defense is terrible. Let me just get that out of the way first. If you have Jaden Daniels in fantasy, if you'd listened to the K&A Fantasy Football podcast that we did back a couple weeks ago, we'd have told you draft Jaden Daniels. He's going to be pretty good. He did very good for fantasy. He didn't do the greatest passing the ball, as he's a rookie QB in week 1. But kind of like Lamar Jackson, he carried the ball for 16 carries. He had 89 rushing yards, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, as a rookie QB, I don't think you want to see your... as a head coach, you don't want to see your rookie QB running the ball 16 times. You'd rather see your running back do that. But Jaden Daniels... part of what makes him so good is he has the ability to make elite throws, but he also has elite rushing skills. So I think maybe 16 carries is egregious. Maybe cut that down a little bit, design more passes, get the ball out of his hands quickly so that you can do things. Fortunately for Washington, they play the Giants on Sunday, so we might see a very different offensive game for Jaden Daniels.
This is very true. Going back to the last game, Daniel the Camel says, "How about Tom Brady as an analyst?"
I think he was
to
terrible.
be honest with you, it wasn't that great. I think that people are overreacting a little bit. Like, was it fantastic? No. Should Greg Olsen have been sacked for this? Definitely not. But I think that people had this image in their mind that, like, Tom Brady was going to be like this Tony Romo, where he comes in with all of this football IQ and then also really good at commentating, and then it just didn't really live up to that hype. If this were literally anyone else not named Tom Brady, you'd be like, okay, like, he wasn't great, but he really wasn't that bad. It was just the fact that his name is so hyped up that you expected it to be better. So I think that's really where the disappointment is coming from. I mean, we'll see if he gets better as the year goes on, but it was mid. It was a very Kirk Cousins event from him. All right. Now, the Sunday night game, we have the Rams and Lions. The Lions ended up winning this one 26-20. I did not catch too much of this game. Unfortunately, I was very deep in the homework, as tends to happen. But here's what I do know happened is this game wound up going to overtime, which was great for me because David Montgomery absolutely destroyed the Rams defense on that overtime drive. Like, the entire game plan going into overtime was give the ball to Montgomery. And the other thing I know is that Jameson Williams took all of the receiving yards from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown was nowhere to be seen in this game, and Jameson Williams absolutely took over. So the Lions got a good spread. Obviously, like, we knew this. They're going to be a good team. But I didn't catch too much of it, so I'm going to let Caden take this one away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you kind of hinted on it. David Montgomery really carried this team through overtime, but throughout the rest of the game, it was really the Jameson Williams show. He played phenomenal. It's his third year in the league, and people have been waiting for him to break out. I mean, he was a first-round pick. He had not lived up to the hype, but he showed what he is capable of in this game. I was very impressed with Jameson Williams. Puka Nacua left this game with an injury, and he's been placed on IR, which is a very massive blow for the Rams. But Cooper Kupp has resurrected. Cooper Kupp is back from the dead. He had, I believe, 14 catches in this game. I mean, he was dead. The last 2 seasons, what has Cooper Kupp done? Absolutely nothing. And Cooper Kupp comes back in this game, and he's like, oh, yeah, guys, I'm Cooper Kupp. You don't remember me? Like, I was the Triple Crown winner. I was all this stuff. Oh, Puka's gone. Watch me. I will go back to 2021 form. And he did that, and he dominated in this game. It was a bummer they had to lose. Matthew Stafford had a pretty solid game, threw a very bad red zone interception. He had 317 passing yards. That's pretty good. Yards wise, that's really great. Yeah, there's not much to. I mean, the Lions are going to be phenomenal this year, but the Rams, I believe, are also going to be good. This was 2 very good NFC teams going head to head, went to overtime. I mean, what more can you expect? What more could you want? That was a great game.
Yeah, great game. We'll see as these teams move forward. All right, last game, Monday night, we have the Jets and 49ers. The big storyline for this game is that mere hours, 1.5 hours before the game, it was revealed that Christian McCaffrey would not play due to a calf injury. And obviously, this is massive, not only for the 49ers and for the Jets, but also, more importantly, arguably, all of the fantasy owners out there. This is obviously the last game of the week. What are you going to do in terms of Christian McCaffrey? Like, you don't have anyone else to sub in unless for some reason you have someone playing for the Jets or 49ers that you didn't already have at running back. So what on earth are you going to do? I'll tell you what I would do. And by what I would do, I mean what I told my roommate to do, because he had Christian McCaffrey in the situation. So what I told him to do was, hey, you should drop your worst player and you should pick up Jordan Mason. I know he's only projected 3.1 points, but the 49ers' entire philosophy is run the ball as soon as you get ahead. And you know what happened? They ran the ball as soon as they got ahead. And on 28 attempts, Jordan Mason had 1 touchdown and 147 rushing yards. Ended up putting up 22 fantasy points and ended up winning my roommate week 1. So if you need any expert fantasy advice, you come and hit me up. But the 49ers ended up winning this one 39-19. I don't think the Jets looked terrible in this. It was a good showing against a really great defense, but obviously they ended up taking the loss. Caden, you got anything else for us?
Nope, I think you hit it all on the head. Jordan Mason's getting a lot of hate right now, the 49ers are, because they asked him after the game, when did you know you were starting? And he messed up and said, I knew on Friday. And that's not good because the 49ers did not report that. You have to report that to the NFL, and that was not reported. So 49ers are going to maybe get investigated in this. I think that it was more like they didn't actually know McCaffrey was going to sit, but it was like he's going to probably be a game time decision. Like, be ready. You're going to take a lot of carries. You're going to play a lot. I don't think it was like hey, McCaffrey's not playing on Monday, but we're not going to tell anybody, so you're the starter, okay? But I think it's being blown out of proportion. I think they truly just weren't sure what was going to happen.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. Like, him being told he's going to start does not mean that McCaffrey being listed out, because you don't have to report to the NFL who's going to start. You have to report to the NFL if the player is going to be out. And so people are kind of conflating those two things, that they knew that McCaffrey was going to be out and they kept this a secret. What really happened, in my opinion, is they knew that McCaffrey had a hurt calf. He was going to be at 60%, 50% capacity. So hey, you're going to be the guy. McCaffrey's probably going to play, but not too much. So be ready, just like you said. All right, that wraps up the week. But now Caden are going to get to our picks for the week. But before we do that, we're going to speed round. Before we do that, I need to tell you guys about our good friends K&F Construction. K&F Construction has been serving the Northeast Ohio community for over 16 years, specializing in composite decks. K&F Construction takes the time and effort to provide the service and product you deserve for your home. You can call K&F Construction today at 330-575-2465 for a free estimate. Again, that's 330-575-2465. You can also visit kfdex.com, which is linked in the description. K&F Construction, let us build your dream backyard. All right, Kadin, we need to absolutely speed run these because we have one more segment to get to. So we're going to fly through these. I'm just going to read these off, and then we're going to just say who we have, and we can talk about them more next week when we do our recap. So, Kadin, Bills, Dolphins, who you got?
I have Bills in this game.
I have the Dolphins. All right. Next, Saints, Cowboys.
Is this really how Debbie? Let us know. Is this actually how you want us to like do these? Just literally spit them out. Okay, Debbie says yes. Okay, so
Debbie
yeah,
says
I
yes.
got
All right, we're
Bills.
doing
You got
this.
Dolphins.
All right, Saints, Cowboys. Who you got? We got the same one. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Cowboys.
Cowboys.
All right, Buccaneers, Lions.
I got Lions.
I got Lions as well. How about Chargers and Panthers?
Chargers for 1,000 rushing yards and win by 70.
I got the same. Maybe not quite that. Colts, Packers.
I have the Colts.
I have the Packers in this one. Actually, wait, no. I forgot that Jordan Love won't be playing. I'm taking the Colts. I changed my mind.
Okay.
I completely forgot about it. All right, Jets, Titans.
I have the Jets.
I also have the Jets here. 49ers, Vikings.
49ers.
Same. Seahawks, Patriots.
This one's probably one of my tougher games to pick, but I'm picking the Seahawks.
I'm picking the Seahawks as well, but I completely agree. This is a tough one. Giants and Commanders.
Commanders. Panthers play the Giants in Germany at some point this season, and I truly believe that will be the worst game in NFL history.
This is so true. I'm going to go with the Commanders here, and I cannot wait for Giants Panthers. That's going to be bad. All right, Browns Jaguars.
I have the Jaguars.
I'm going to go with the Browns here. I think we figured out our defense hit their stride in the second half. My biggest concern is on offense, which I'll get to. Raiders Ravens.
Ravens.
I got Ravens too. Rams Cardinals.
I have the Cardinals. That was another very hard one to pick.
Yeah, I completely agree. Where did my... There it is. I got the Rams in this one. I believe in them just a little bit more. I think that Cooper Kupp's going to take somehow even more of a load than he did, but I'm going to go Rams here. Steelers Broncos.
Steelers, and I really hope they can win off of just only field goals again. I think that'd be hilarious.
Same. I got them too. Bengals Chiefs.
Chiefs. The Bengals still won't have figured it out by week 2. Yeah.
Agree. Bears Texans.
Texans.
Same. And then Falcons and Eagles.
I got the Eagles.
I got the Eagles too. And in case anyone is curious, for week 1, I predicted 10 games correct. Kadin did 13 games correct. So already off to a hot start. I'm already down. That's not great. All right. So that does it for us recapping the week and for our pick'ems. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with our segment Hail Mary. All right, everyone, welcome back. For this week's segment, we have Hail Mary. For those of you that don't know how this works, in this segment, Caden or I, or as the case may be, our very special guest, Devin, will be giving our hottest take. It is our desperation throw. We're just launching it up there. We are Anthony Richardson, just hoping that someone runs underneath this thing. So Devin, he is a freshman at Kent State and a avid Chiefs fan, though he claims it is not bandwagon. So Devin's going to bring us his hot take today, his Hail Mary. Devin, take it away.
Oh man, I had two good ones. I mean, the NFL this week one was it was a lot this weekend. So I think I think I have to go with probably Tyree Hill. I think with the cop situation, I think he's gonna have some type of like redemption arc from the whole entire situation. Since like he had what was it? He had over 130 yards rushing maybe or running. I'm not sure exactly. I know he had one touchdown and so forth throughout that game. I think he did pretty well. I think he's going to somehow make. I think with that situation right before the game, especially, I believe it was about 2-3 hours before the game when it happened. I'm not sure how close it was, but hopefully that situation has settled down. Probably not. I'm not sure, but I think with that situation, I think he's going to definitely be like a very high end player when it comes to getting the Dolphins to the Super Bowl closer, solely based off last year. They did pretty well. I thought they were going to be huge contenders, like definitely against like the Chiefs, probably like the AFC final. Of course, they weren't there, but I really thought they were going to have a tougher. I thought we were going to have a better, like a tougher opponent when we versed them later of last season, but they were a little iffy. But I think this year, I think with Tyreek Hill, I think he's definitely going to have something to really bring the Dolphins to that playoff spot. Probably AFC final, probably versus us more than likely. I think with the situation and so forth. I don't want to ramble on too much, but I think that's what I can see. I think he's definitely going to shape the league and mostly the Dolphins a lot through this season.
I really like that. I mean, the Dolphins have struggled, like you said. They've been good regular season teams, and then they struggle once they get deep in the season. Once they get to the playoffs, I like that. That's something you don't hear a lot is Dolphins going really far, going to the AFC Championship, and absolutely, if they're going to do that, that's going to be through Tyreek Hill and that whole redemption arc after what happened last week. I love that. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's actually 3 Hail Marys in there. I mean, we had the Tyreek Hill redemption arc. He's going to absolutely go crazy. We had the Dolphins making it to the AFC Championship game, but then we had the implicit assumption there that the Chiefs were also going to be in the AFC Championship game.
I don't know. Maybe it's just biasm. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. It's that feeling inside me. You know, I know I have my Chiefs stuff with me. I need to buy an actual jersey. My ish jersey is at home in PA. So yeah.
But he's not a biased Chiefs fan.
Not a bias.
I am not a Chiefs fan. We won the Super Bowl, and I won my first fantasy football. That does not mean anything. That does not mean anything.
Not correlated to anyone. So you became a fan before they won the Super Bowl that year, right?
Yeah, it was that same year. My grandmother, she was born in Kansas City, so she supports them like any other football team. So she said, maybe just support the Chiefs. I'm like, sure. So I watched them. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just cheer on them. Like, oh, let's go. And they're like making comebacks in like the playoffs. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay with them. Then they win the Super Bowl. I'm like, I'm just gonna stay like it. Then I win the fantasy football league. I'm like, I'm not sure this is a sign, or is it just a coincidence, or is it just my grandmother paying off people to basically say, hey, he's becoming a Chiefs fan, we'll just make sure this happens so he can stay
Gotta
as
make sure he stays it. Love that. Maybe there's a little bit more bias sneaking in there with the Tyreek Hill pick too. Just picking former Chiefs players to go ahead and
No, I don't think so. It's not like I have buddies who are telling me in my ear at all.
Oh, for sure. All right, that's a fantastic Hail Mary. I have one really quickly, and then we'll sign off here. For me, if you listen to the episode, if you can look around me, you'll notice I'm a Browns fan, and everyone in the entire league, including us Browns fans, are reacting a lot because Deshaun Watson played terrible, and there are calls for should we start Jameis in the upcoming weeks? What should we do here? Here's my Hail Mary for the week. Deshaun Watson will never return to form. People have been waiting for Deshaun Watson to return to form. We all know that he was suspended for violating league conduct. And then people were like, okay, he hasn't played in a couple of years, guys. Got him some slacks. He's got to work off the rust. It's all good. And then he didn't really work off the rust. And you're like, okay, it's fine though, because he's got to work off the rust. And then he didn't work off the rust. And you're like, no, it's fine though, because he's got to work off the rust. And then, oh, he's injured last year. He hurt his shoulder. He hurt his side. He hurt his other shoulder. Oh, he has the flu. It's just all these excuses all the time. Deshaun Watson will never return to form. He is an absolute bank robber, and he knows it. He has been playing terrible for the last 3 years. He has played all of 12 games in the last 2 years for the Browns. Okay? He has not played games. He has, in my opinion, my professional opinion, he has feigned injuries to not play. I don't think he cares anymore. He knows that he is not getting paid after this. When his contract with the Browns expires, he is never getting another NFL contract this size, and I don't think he'll play again. I think that he knows that this money is guaranteed. It doesn't matter anymore. He is going to ride this till it dies. There's another lawsuit against him that just came out from the 2020 era when all the rest of them came out. I don't think he cares anymore. Deshaun Watson will never return to form, and it's time for the Browns to move on. I understand we owe him a lot of money, but let's start Jameis. That's my hot take.
I like it. I mean, watching last week, it doesn't look like, yeah, I completely would you agree with what you're saying about the whole injuries part. Like, a lot of it could be if he has the slightest little, like, hang now, oh, I have to sit out this week, like I can't play, can't risk injury. And I don't think that's crazy at all. What do you think, Devin?
I think in just general, from what I can hear, it's that he's just a money grabber. He's just collecting money. He's like, when you think about soccer players, there's a lot of them that have injuries around certain times, or they're just injury prone, and they're just to make money. They get millions of dollars every year, and then they have maybe one-ish game. They do decent for one game. They're like, oh, here's his redemption arc. He's about to win it all. He's going to carry this team all the way through. No, doesn't. Next game gets injured, fraction, something. He's that player that will be injury prone, he knows it. He knows that he's going to be injury prone. He knows he's going to get an injury, and that he's just collecting on money. He's like any other player that you've seen in the past with past NFL players and other athletes around the world. He's just there to collect money, honestly.
Yeah.
I like it.
Obviously, completely agree with you there, Devin. He's just here to collect his bag, and I hope that for some reason his competitive drive sparks again, but I don't think it'll happen. All right,
you still took the Browns to beat the Jags on Sunday.
Yeah, well, you never know. Our defense is really good. Maybe I'm picking with my heart. This is probably the last week I pick them, unless they prove me wrong. All right, that'll wrap it up for this episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you so much to Devin for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure having you. Pleasure hearing your take. We will catch you guys next time in week 2.